I will squint at this scene to see the dark patterns in here that I will put in first, just like I did before. And I'm going to use the burnt sienna and put these in initially with that. And again, I'm mixing on the palette. I'm mixing on the paper, not on the palette. So I put color out there to see what it looks like. And then I'm going to come in on this now with the burnt sienna. But all of a sudden that breeze has really picked up again. That's the main dark shape that I'm going to have in there. And then I got the tree going up here. Mixed a little bit of that earth and green with a little bit of that brown that I was using, put in on this tree trunk. Hey, that worked pretty good. How did that happen? This is that earth and green again that I talked about before. But try and let the brush do as much of the painting for you as it's able to. If you let the brush go, if the brush is trained well enough, why, it'll do a lot of painting on its own. All you have to do is hang on to it. But you have to get it trained well to begin with, you know. And if you believe everything I say, why, good luck, you know. I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. I think I'll just let that break right out through that border line. And my question is, are we having fun yet? That's the whole thing, is to have fun with this. That's why I enjoy journaling so much, because to me this is all fun. There's no hard work involved here. I don't have a big 22 by 30 sheet of white paper staring at me, and I'm going to look at it and say the first brush stroke is going to ruin that piece of paper. I don't have that problem. But I tell people I don't want to see brown tree trunks and green foliage. I want you to mix the colors, get the browns into the greens and all that. So that it ties the unit, ties the whole thing together, ties the picture together, ties the foliage together, etc. And when you're painting these shapes, that's exactly what to think of, is think of them as shapes. Don't think of them as trees, handrails, buildings, roofs, whatever. Think of them as shapes and integrate the shapes together. I love to do contour drawing, and when you do contour drawing with the ink or with pencil, right, you have to tie everything together, and then then the painting holds up much better that way. Now I'm going to put this is the same burnt sienna that I used in this area down here. I'm going to put that in the tree. Because you know that those pine trees have a lot of dead stuff in them. So that's what we're going to do now, is tie that tree in with the brown in the building here. Just add a few of those white spots in there, and that's going to do it. Then I'll put some right down here on this area right there, just very lightly. Just very lightly. The roof on this building is kind of a mauve color, so I'm going to use the alizarin crimson. I'm going to use the alizarin. Let's see what this looks like on there. It's not bad, not bad. I think that's going to work out pretty good. And then this roof down here drops down a notch, goes on out of the picture. Now I'm going to repeat that color right up here, where just on the edge of this roof. Just like that. And while that's drying on there, I'm going to go to the French ultramarine and lay in a shadow on that rooftop. So it'll be a little bit out of focus as a result, which is what I want. Because that's still wet. Yep, good. And that shadow's that shadow's coming from this tree. So I'm going to put it in like that. I think that's going to do it. Now I need a tan on the edge of this roof right here. I don't want to have it quite as hot as what this is underneath here, because it'll have sky reflecting into it. So I'm going to try to mix up something here with the apricot, and see if I can't come up with a kind of a warm gray. Hey, that's going to do it, I think. Am I having luck today, or what's the story here? Ordinarily, I'd have to mix that a couple of times probably. I'm going to use that on the shadow side of the stones also. Since I got a color there I like. That wants to run into those bricks and or the stones, and I don't want it to run into there. I try to control that if I can. I like that color right there. I really do. I'm going to try to get some more of that for the shadows down here on this concrete. olive green there and a touch of the darker green underneath it. Just take it one step at a time. I think that's all you have to do. I'm going to try to get some color in here now on the stone here, on that stonework. Just a slight indication of that color. I didn't put everything in that's in front of me. I left out the back part of that building, in the back, because you don't see enough of it. You don't see enough of it to really describe what's there. So I left that section out, but I think there's enough there to tell a story. I'm going to get some apricot on this concrete down here in front of me to warm it up a little bit so it's not quite so cold. Right here I'm talking about, right there. It'll give it the look of being lit up by the light. And I'm going to put a little bit on this railing here too, so it's just toned down a little bit, so it's not pure white. I've got a man and a woman down here by this railing. So I'm going to give her, let's see, what will I give her? Let's give them some skin color to begin with. Let that dry. I got some rocks right here in the foreground, so why don't I give some definition to those guys while that stuff's drying. I don't want it to be too bright, just dark enough to show bring those stones out. I can go back in with a little bit of calligraphy over those to make them stand out a little bit more. That helps to define those beams in there a little bit more. I want to blue this up over here. I'm going to put a little bit of moisture in here. And a little bit of moisture in here. And a little bit right up here. And get some sky. I'm going to clean off a spot on my palette here first. You got to have a clean area to work in, okay? So I'm going to do that. I like this palette. I think this is a nice palette. It's got big sections to put the colors in, so you can get a big brush in there. I can use the 1-inch brush if I want to very easily on this palette. And I think I'm going to like this very much. This is a new palette for me, but I think it's going to work out very, very well. Get some sky blue out here now. Right there it is. And on occasions what I do is I bring more white into it, okay? And what that does, it helps the color go on flat. It doesn't want to fisheye or anything quite as much as it would without that. And then I can go in here in this area of this thing. Paint the sky in here. Down here I want to lighten it towards the horizon. I don't want it to be so dark down there. So I just wash back into that with a little bit of water. Now I got to get up here with the same blue that I had over here, so it doesn't change color behind that tree. And work that on over here towards the light source in the sky. And I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna warm that up with a little bit of apricot up there. Get this in here. Just a pale version of that sky blue. It's really wet right now, so I'm going to have to let that dry. I can go down and put some clothes on these people here that are down here in the... I'm going to give her a green dress with the... Yeah, there we go. Gentleman's going to be in white. It's drying pretty fast up here. Okay, I'm going to wash out this area here again, and I'll use that to get my apricot ready for the painting. That's pretty. It looks pretty clean. Yeah. Okay. Apricot. Boy, that'll dry fast now with that wind coming in like that. Wow. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. Okay, now I'm going to take a short break here and come back, let that dry, and then come back and put a little bit more calligraphy in on it. So, works out pretty well, I think. A little bit of calligraphy and it'll be handled.